Here's a stat that should make every single student applying to investment banking stop and think. Investment banking acceptance rates for top firms are under 1% for internships, making them much more competitive than many elite universities. And this isn't because their GPA isn't good enough, it's because they're playing a game they don't fully understand. Today, we're going to fix that, and we're going to start at the very beginning. I have Jason Lum here today with me, the founder of JHL Consulting Group, someone who was previously at CIBC as an investment banker, and he has personally helped over 300 students land finance roles at Morgan Stanley, RBC, TD, Goldman Sachs, and more. Jason, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now let's go all the way from the starting. Talk to me a little bit about who you are and what your track record is.
Yeah, so I went to an Ontario university. I studied accounting at U Ottawa. From there, essentially, I did a series of different internships at PwC, at Deloitte, and then I sort of got more interested in the finance space. As you mentioned, I was doing M&A at CIBC, and then also did some buy-side internships as well. And then personally, I just found the recruitment process quite challenging. I mean, thank God I got the roles, but it took a lot longer and there's a lot more work involved than what I wish I signed up for. Going into it is really just trial and error based, and that's why when I got inspired to start the consulting side to help students with recruitment and to be the resources or have the right support that I wish I had. So, been doing that for a few years, and we've helped people successfully across various high finance roles. We help people globally as well.
Fair enough. What's your track record? How many students? I know I mentioned the 300 number, but I'm sure there's so many more aspects to that. Do you mind talking a little bit about the students you've helped?
Yeah, I mean, originally I thought it was going to be like students from my university essentially, but really from there, at least initially, but from there, I mean, it started going across Canada, and then it's also across like UK, US. I even have a few people in other regions as well. In regards to the students, we help predominantly, I would say, non-target students, but we also have some people at Ivy, for instance, Queens. Majority of the students that we were helping are looking for internships, whether it's summer internships or off cycles. We have some MBA students and also working professionals as well. And most of it is helping them with the core recruitment activities, whether it's getting more interviews, helping them with coffee chats, helping them with crafting their applications, and then also as they are getting the interviews, helping with doing mock interviews on the finance questions, behavioral questions, and making sure that it's almost like having a professor at school, essentially training them and teaching them, but this is in regards to how to actually land roles.
100%. I like that aspect of having a professor who teaches you these things. What I've realized during my time at Schulich, and of course I've really loved it so far. It's amazing. I get to learn about business and the intricacies of it. However, I do feel that we were not prepared to the same extent of the whole recruiting aspect. Currently, I'm going for consulting, going to EY this summer, and I felt that there could have been a bit more support outside of school. And I feel that most of the prep that you actually do when it comes to consulting recruiting or finance recruiting actually comes outside of school, not within it. Would you agree? Now, my next question will primarily be, why do you believe most students don't actually break into finance or even consulting roles?
It's a good question. I would say for few different reasons. They don't prioritize getting enough experience, especially early on. A lot of the students sort of take like first year, second year, and then they don't really get the right internships that are necessary. So they don't really have a good background, at least initially, in terms of the foundation they're building on. But in addition to that, they're sort of just applying rather than actually going about it through coffee chats and having the right relationships in place, which is what is really important. And I mean, if you don't have much experience and you're starting later on, then it's just going to become more challenging. So that's where having the right coffee chats the right coffee chats and the right relationships. One of my professors always told me, like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that is very true and important in the finance space. Aside from that, I think a lot of people just underestimate how much, especially on the interview side, how rigorous the interviews truly are, and the level of accuracy and comprehension that they're expecting you to understand from a finance concept, but also being able to present yourself well and be polished and to show you sophistication. So I would say, and then also just not starting early enough. So essentially, not getting enough professional experience or extracurriculars, not going about it the right way in terms of having the right coffee chats, having the right relationships in place, and then also starting too late.
I want to touch on the starting late aspect. When do you believe is the right time for students to start for finance specifically?
Depends on what they're going for, but really, I'd say in the within the first year, and it starts within getting into the right clubs, ideally, sort of having a direction in terms of what you're aiming for. A better and getting a first year internship is also very important. And then from there, you can consider and having good grades, right? Like there's a lot of components, right? When you think of getting to finance, like 3-4% of people get into these roles. It's very important for them to have the right foundation initially going forward.
And keeping JHL and KKC in mind, how can students who perhaps had a slow start or started a little bit late, how can they now adapt and still try to break into these high achieving roles?
I would say it's just starts with getting the right support and guidance, right? If you're not sure how to go about a certain process or how to go about things the right way, it's like think of at school, as I mentioned, right? You're not just going through textbooks or YouTube videos or trying to rely on friends, right? You have someone consistently teaching you, someone you can ask questions, someone who's able to give you feedback, practice exams, etc. So whether it's leveraging resources like KKC or what we do, that's a huge starting point, a huge boost. And then from
Mm-hmm.
there, obviously, you're still going to have to put in the reps in terms of the coffee chats and behavioral questions, interview skills. I would say getting support and being able to uh, to mimic the footsteps of someone who's already gone through this process, who's been in your shoes and who's gone to where you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
go, and learning from someone else's mistakes in time is much better than your.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Can you walk me through an example of perhaps a student who decided to come to you and just wanted to seek help? How was that process? How did you kind of help them and maneuver where they were currently at?
Yeah, I mean, there's many different examples. Most students, I mean, I guess I can try and pinpoint, but anyways, most students, for instance, that come to us, perhaps have a bit of a lower GPA, not much experience, as I mentioned, started a bit late. So the main process that we really need to help them with is getting the right coffee chat structure in place, having the right relationships where they're not just randomly applying, they have the right relationships in place, they're going about this in a more strategic manner, and then as they are lining up coffee chats, we can help do mock coffee chats with them. We can help prepare what types of questions to be asking these professionals, when and how is it appropriate to ask for referrals or for hiring opportunities. And then from there, they're ideally applying and actually getting interviews. And then as these folks are getting interviews, we then typically do mock interviews as well as share questions and answers to not just common but more advanced questions. And from there, essentially do mock interviews where we can give them feedback based on the structure, the accuracy, the communication of the responses. And then from there, they're essentially going from where they are currently to getting the coffee chats, to getting the interviews, preparing for the interviews, and then actually landing the offers, and then going from there.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Can you walk me through a little bit about the coffee chat structure? Why is it so important to speak to specific people and to start building relationships early on?
Yeah, it really, like if you're working 80, 100 hours a week, and when
Mm-hmm.
you think of people, especially let's just say you're non-target, like when you think of competing against people that go to target schools, have experience, right? People love to work with people that they like and they understand, and where there's more weight behind your application rather than just looking at a document. I don't know who you are, you don't have much experience, and not even getting really seen right past the screening process. So that's why it's really important to have coffee chats so that you can build these relationships. But it's not good enough just to have the coffee chat. You have to do the coffee chat effectively, and something that, I mean, fortunately, I had some people guide me initially, but a lot of people do coffee chats the wrong way, in the sense that they're just always asking questions about, like, they're just talking about
Mm-hmm.
finance the whole time, like, or trying to
Yeah.
sell themselves, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
like this is what they're doing day in day out, and that's really what all the other people are doing, so it's not memorable. Instead, it's really important to ask them. Everyone loves to talk about themselves, so being able to
Yeah.
build a genuine relationship and rapport with these people, and the best way is, 20% of the time you're asking the questions, 80% of the time you're just listening to what they're saying, essentially, and you're trying to find similarities and commonalities. Maybe they went to the same, they have similar hobbies, they went to the same school, perhaps, same similar background, whatever it is. And really, sure, you can ask questions about what they do, about the company, but you also really do want to build rapport and relationships with these people.
Hmm.
And then from there, you want to have an appropriate ask or next step. It's not always a referral. There's a time and place for that, but you want to have a good next step that can tangibly lead to something further. So
Hmm.
that's, yeah. So it really comes up with coming with insightful questions, coming about it the right way. You're really not trying to sell yourself. You're trying to build a relationship, and then from there, making the appropriate ask for next steps.
Great, great. Now, Jason, for you, I have three rapid fire questions. I'm going to be asking these questions one by one. Excuse me. And then I'll just give you a little bit of time to just walk through what you think is the best way to go about these issues and what the best solution might be. Are you ready for these rapid fires? Cool. Now, the very first one, what's the biggest myth when it comes to finance recruiting?
I would say that anyone can do it, right? Or that everyone gets in, right? Like when it comes
Hmm.
to finance recruitment, especially the high finance space, it's highly competitive. Think of it as like the Olympics or the NFL, right? Like it's very, very competitive. Hundreds of thousands of people apply, and they select very select few. So a lot of people think, oh, like just because I go to business school, just because I'm taking business classes, even if you can want it all you want, but not everyone's gonna get in. Even if you go to Ivy Queens, you're all competing internally. I think a big
Hmm.
sort of myth is that anyone gets in, or even the fact that like I'm gonna get in. Uh, I think it's healthy to have a bit of doubt or a bit of chip on your shoulder to make sure that you're actually, um, you're outperforming that and that you're really a solid candidate, because it is very competitive, as you mentioned. And sure, 5% of people truly break in, and the rest typically are, yeah, just doing other roles, whether it's, accounting or more middle office finance roles.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, the second rapid fire question is going to be, what next steps can students take literally right after this call?
Yeah, just start getting the right support, the right resources, right? Whether it's optimize, I'd say it's really thinking through what you're doing and trying to identify what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are missing links, and then just trying to add on to your strengths, whether it's joining the KKC resources, the resources I've curated, whether it's having your first coffee chat, sending out your first message, getting that first interview, right? It's just a matter
Hmm.
of starting. A lot of people, myself included, thought that, like, for instance, a good example was I was hesitant to do coffee chats because I thought I needed to learn the finance questions, the technicals
Hmm.
first. I thought they were going to grill me on that stuff. That's not the case. So it's really just a matter of starting and also learning things as you go, but starting with the right resources and having the right support initially, as opposed to just doing a trial and error method and going about it that way.
Now, what do you think is the number one thing aspect that separates those who make it from those who don't?
So yeah, I like that question, and that's what I try and look for in the students that we help as well. I think it's the main difference is, are you all in or are you just interested? A lot of people say they're interested in finance, they're interested in doing this, but there's a different level when you're actually all in and you're committed. When this is something that you're not just saying you're gonna do, but or saying you want it, but where your actions speak louder than words. So, how many reps, how much effort, how much time and energy you're actually truly putting into the steps and the process involved, and that mindset, but also that batch of action is really what separates those who get in and those who don't. And yeah, just really having that action and results based, not results based, but the action and the commitments that's really necessary to put in your all. And also being able to um, be resilient throughout the process, being able to take no's, being able to take
Mm-hmm.
rejections,
Mm-hmm.
being patient throughout the process is really important.
I'm going to ask a final few set of questions. The first one is going to be, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself if you could go back to when you were recruiting?
Leverage other people's time and mistakes as opposed to your own. So as I mentioned, I did a
Mm-hmm.
lot of trial and error, a lot of figuring out on my own. I mean, as I mentioned, thank God it worked, and that's how I got really good with the recruitment aspect. But it would have been a lot easier and a lot more streamlined had I had someone, like, find someone who's in your shoes, who's in the position that you want, and get their support and guidance, whether it's formally, informally. Just try and be a sponge and learn from other people as opposed to your yourself is a much better strategy and a much better way to get towards where you're trying to go.
100%. Now, my final question, and I guess it'll be a little bit of an open-ended conversation on both ends, is talking about the solution that me and you have been curating. It's in the works currently, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what that solution is and how that partnership will look like between KKC and JHL. What do you hope to install within students within the new course that you will be providing on the KKC platform?
Yeah, tailored resources and really more so not just resources because the information's out there. It's more so how do you condense, how do you consolidate the right resources
Mm-hmm.
into a single place, and then from there it's more so being able to access the people who have gone through this process, who are in this process where you want to be, and as I mentioned, having access to, let's say, weekly group calls or one-on-one calls, mock interviews, having that teacher-like aspect into the recruitment component is
Mm-hmm.
something I wish I had, and what my students value, and what we can really provide through this platform here moving forward.
100%, 100%. And Jason, thank you very much for the episode. And as always, this is just the beginning. We've got more episodes within the series itself, and it only gets more specific from here. And for everyone else that's listening, the full system that Jason just described, the timeline, the networking, the entire strategy behind the technical and even behavioral side of things, as we mentioned, is being built inside of KKC Classroom's finance section. Now, you can get started for free right now at kkcclassroom.com. The link is in the show notes. And Jason, I'll see you at another time. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.